Hello, all right. So this is my review of Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Sword by Frank Thomas. I'll keep this very short because the book is only 200 pages or so, and I'll quickly summarize what I thought about it. If you haven't listened to the audiobook or read the book yourself, do that first because this is gonna have spoilers. I'm gonna give a brief overview of the plot, how I felt about that, go over the characters, what I like, what I didn't like, and maybe a bit about the language, the pace of the plot, and things like that. And maybe I'll give a brief overview of whether you should read this book or not. But anyway, let's begin with an overview of the plot. So, this is a story that takes place primarily in Cairo or near Cairo in Egypt, and it begins in England with Sherlock Holmes and Watson being intruded by a one of Sherlock's friends, let's say, who brings in a almost dying body, a dead body of I forget the name, but one of the generals of war who is undercover in Egypt. Anyway, the plot develops into them trying to find out why he has a particular artifact in his possession. And again, I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't read the book, but it leads them to uh, first to Berlin, then to Venice, if I remember correctly, and then to uh, the primary location near Cairo. So, okay, the characters. Sherlock is okay, so I have a few gripes about this. I don't know why the author chose to do this. I haven't read any of his previous books. This particular text contains some reference to a previous novel, but I haven't read it. So I don't know what to make of it, but this one in particular, Sherlock Holmes is referred to as Sleuth or the unofficial consulting detective way too many times. I don't know if the original canon had so many uses of the word sleuth, but it's almost in every other reference to this man, and it kind of got annoying after a while. And Watson is always old fellow. I don't know if Holmes ever referred to him like that in the original text. I don't recall so, but maybe because this text was written in 1980 or so, it may be a product of its time. I'm not sure. But anyway, putting that aside, Holmes is true to himself, and so is Watson. So the author has tried to remain true to the original intention of the character, which I can't complain about. Let's talk about the antagonist. Here it is a Chinese guy called Chu Sanfu. He really has a looming presence over the course of the plot, but he never really comes in direct contact with Sherlock Holmes up until the finale. But even before that, it's only through his cronies that we learn what the villain is up to and if Sherlock is in time to stop his plans of world domination. No surprises there. Those are the two main characters. Let's talk about some other ones that I recall. Burlington Bertie was a fun character, but again, he didn't have much to say. Watson achieved some good feats in this book. He's one complaint that I had in the original canon was that Watson was only a silent observer in most of the cases, except for a few, but he mostly was the biographer. But here, he has an actual role to play, and he plays a good part in coming to the conclusion that the story takes you to. So good on the author for picking Watson up from the role of a biographer to do some important things. One character that I really liked was the Sheikh character they meet in Cairo. He also has a very powerful uh, army at his back, but his personality is also strong, which always brings life to the plot in an otherwise dull plot, let's say. What about the pacing of the novel? I would say I like this pace. It's very short. I wouldn't have tried to drag this on for a few more pages. Some of it still even felt unnecessary. Holmes didn't have to go to Berlin for, or maybe the author just liked it that way, but he meets a German police officer who again has this very irritating German English accent, and the way he speaks is that every word has to have some German influence, which I don't know if it makes sense. I don't have many German friends, so I'm not sure if that's how it was portrayed in 1980s, but okay, whatever. I didn't mind it too much. There's a guy who climbs walls using suction cups attached to his wrists and knees. I like that a lot. It's a concept that I was familiar with, but I hadn't seen it being used in movies except for, let's say, Mission Impossible. I think there is some scene where Tom Cruise does this, but other than that, I haven't seen that technique being used to climb walls, at least not in practice. So it's good to see that that uh, came into the plot somehow. Who else is there? There is Mycroft, who is mysterious as ever, and also comes through to help Sherlock, which is again not surprising, but I would have liked a bit more of a tension between them, as is in the original uh, text. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that the author, I'm not sure if he tried to do research for this, but it pretty sure delves into heavy conspiracy territory with all these Mayan pyramids being built at the same time as Stonehenge, and I don't know, there are a few other, apart from the Giza pyramids, that are being mentioned at the time, and he suggests some cosmic significance that caused all of this to happen at that time in our civilization, or maybe a knowledge transfer from the Egyptians to other cultures that caused them to build similar structures at the same time. It it's all right for a plot if you want to use it for that, but I maybe would have liked a bit more of a rational explanation of this phenomena. But he just mentions it and lets it be. Uh, but okay, I'm not complaining. A little bit of conspiracy doesn't hurt anyone. Let's look at the chapters really quickly to see if I've missed something obvious. There are again references to Irene Adler for no reason. Uh, Again, not a big deal, but could have been avoided if that's what the because the plot especially didn't require it. Uh, okay, I like the Venice scenes quite a bit. I liked Orlov again. He's the security agent who is a constant companion of Holmes and has a good presence of mind that always comes in handy. I like that. There is a Caesar code, again, very simple cryptography. So I'm not sure if that was necessary to include. They could have just had Lu Chan give that information directly instead of passing a note or something like that. But who am I to say that this was wrong? They just wanted some dancing men kind of deduction. They even had the letter frequency uh, concept in there when they were trying to decipher the code. It's all right, but it's nothing new. So maybe another thing that could have been avoided. The plot could have been developed a bit more. It was a very simple plot, and the villain did not try to change any of it, even after multiple hurdles posed by Sherlock Holmes. He just let it happen, and even after you get Sherlock Holmes in your custody, he just lets security guards roam around their cell. It's a bit far-fetched, but again, who am I to complain? It's just a story that the author tried to make the readers engaged for that time, and I was certainly engaged, so I wouldn't complain too much. Would I suggest that you read this? If you are a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, which I'm assuming you are if you are listening to this, I would say go for it. But if you are looking for, let's say, new deduction techniques or an innovative plot in which deductive reasoning is used, this might not be for you. It is more suited for a movie or uh, or maybe even a short story, let's say. It didn't have to be a novel. It's barely 200 pages, so you could have written a short story with this plot. So don't go for the deductions, go for, let's say, the short story. And if you like the mannerisms of Sherlock Holmes and Watson, their dynamic, it's let's say building on the original text for sure. That's something that I can appreciate. They didn't try to deviate too much or give new meaning to the character, which would have completely destroyed the purpose of writing a Sherlock Holmes book. So I'm not complaining, but it's just not too big of an addition to the original text. So don't expect something great. But if you have the time and you really like Sherlock Holmes, then I'm sure you'll enjoy this. That has been my review. We can talk more about it if you have read it and how you feel about it. And that's it. Thank you.